This is As You Are. My name is Akazi. Welcome back. I am an artist, songwriter, creator, human, light body, light worker, entrepreneur. Uh, yeah. Whatever I want to identify with for the day. Um, so I hit a pretty heavy topic last time in my podcast episodes. So this time, I kind of think I'm gonna go more towards um something a little bit brighter, but it's gonna be a little bit tough to get to the brightness. I often talk a lot, especially in passing to peers and friends and stuff, about my healing journey and what that's been like for me. And I'm going to talk about it today and just kind of give more of an inside look into the things that I've experienced, what it's like for me to be a highly sensitive person and an empath, and what that kind of entails for me throughout the days and what my days look like. So, what is an empath, right? So many people I feel like that I know are empathic, and I tend to really gravitate towards them. I mean, I know you attract what you are and what you're like, but I really like came into this more over the past 5 years, I want to say. And it's been quite the fucking journey. So, the term empath comes from empathy, which is the ability to understand the experiences and feelings of others outside of your own perspective. You actually sense and feel emotions as if they're part of your own experience. And in other words, someone else's pain and happiness becomes your pain and happiness. Just to like summarize it simply. And, there's different kinds of empaths, emotional, physical, geomantic, earth, animal, and intuitive. And empaths are basically individuals who pick up and absorb the emotions of others around them. And this high level of sensitivity means that empaths are capable of offering understanding and a deep, deep compassion. But it also comes with another side of it where you tend to be highly anxious, you tend to be overwhelmed easily, you tend to cry a lot, and you tend to take things on as if they are yours, especially before you can kind of understand what it is and what you're doing. And you kind of make other people's realities yours until you learn how to separate. So I am definitely an empath. um, and it's been quite the journey of self-discovery within being an empath. I would say that my intuition is like spot on, especially when it comes to things that are under the surface for other people and what they're dealing with. And I feel like I do have a pretty good sense of other people's traumas and what they are working out within themselves to become, I guess, better or lighter. I don't want to say better. I want to say feel lighter, because really a lot of us just walk around with a bunch of trauma and stuff under the surface that we're not really ready to address or deal with. And I get why, because it's not an easy process to fully be present. So my empathetic journey, actually, it runs really deep in my family, which just going back and like, after getting some awareness and waking up a little bit, going back and being able to speak with my family a little bit more, I've been like, wow, it's so prevalent in our family line and in generations, and it's on both sides. Super heavy on my dad's side for sure. and super heavy on my mom's side. So it's it's interesting to like get in touch more with the gift and um kind of understand what the purpose of it is. So I basically spent a lot of my time before I was really able to even put a word on this, just like constantly wobbling in my life and in society and around peers, and never could really hold my own frame because I was constantly feeling everybody else and what everybody else was doing, and um I think it put me at a big disadvantage to not understand what an empath is. Um, and you know, healing as well, trying to heal my own stuff while being an empath has also been really interesting because there's a lot of generational stuff within my family that needed healing and still is being worked out. And there's a lot of karmatic stuff within my family line that needs healing and has also been being worked out. And as an empath, I've been in touch with all of that, but I've also really kind of taken it on and taken on other people's traumas in the past as if they were my dealings, and they're not. And I think that's one of the biggest things that an empath needs to understand. It's a book written by Judith Orloff, and it is called The Empath's Survival Guide: Life Strategies for Sensitive People. And I literally have recommended this book to almost all of my friends just because I know how highly sensitive everybody is. So some of the stuff that they go over is what is an empath, of course, but then there's like empaths, emotions, health, and how to stop absorbing other people's distress, empaths and addiction, um, empaths, love and sex, protecting yourself from narcissists and other energy vampires, which are very fucking real. Um, Empaths, parenting and raising sensitive children, empaths and work, and then empaths, intuition, and extraordinary um, perceptions. And then there's other stuff in there like what it is to be an empath, and what kinds of relationships you can cultivate and how deep they can actually go. So being an empath myself, I've definitely come across a lot of narcissistic relationships and narcissistic people, and I've definitely had my fair share of experiencing overinflated egos with other people. And it's been quite the experience, quite painful to be connected to narcissists, or trying to get a narcissist to understand what is going through, what they're operating through. And as an empath, I feel when you are close to a narcissist, you totally understand what's going on for them underneath the surface and why there's such an overinflated ego and sense of self and sense of entitlement and sense of um, I guess selfishness, to say the least. And a lot of the times for narcissists, and it does make me sad, but a lot of times for narcissists, they don't actually understand that they are a narcissist, and they operate through a lot of brokenness and don't ever really get the healing or the help to kind of get out of that ego, and it really comes from a brokenness of not underneath, just not feeling good enough. And it comes from a place of something, usually in someone's childhood, where they were deemed not good enough or bullied or pushed around, and so they attached this idea that their image and what they are going to achieve or what they're going to be in this world is the thing that will validate and give them the love that they've been searching for, not really realizing that that's actually an entrapment of them of their own selves, because you can't let love in when you are super highly focused on self. You can, I and this is just my opinion on this, but I think that when you're letting the most love in, you're at the most, like, I don't want to say broken, because broken's not the right place for it, but you're the most open. Broken open is when you feel the most love in your life and feel the most connected to life. And a lot of times narcissists and empaths are very different on the spectrum when it comes to how they can experience and how they can express love. And narcissists, I feel, are very they're very closed off and very boxed up, and the empathetic side in me sees the trauma and wants to help and kind of free them from the trauma, but you can't. You can't, because a narcissist also has to work through its own ego and its own brokenness to get to these epiphanies. And that's one of the hardest parts about being with or around or involved with a narcissist, is that they don't always have a complete picture of what they're operating through, and it makes it hard for them to really just kind of let go of the need to be important, or the need to be seen, acknowledged, validated, and loved by an external force, to really, I guess, feel good in this world. Feel like they're a part of something. Feel like their existence means something. And and I get it. I feel like a lot of us we all innately have that want, that desire to, like, be something in this world, or to be seen, validated, heard, loved, appreciated, that kind of stuff. And an empath really kind of does the complete opposite of a narcissist. And a lot of times the empath doesn't have as strong of a frame as a narcissist. And a lot of times the empath gives too much and the narcissist gives too little. And it all really does stem from childhood behaviors. So, like, for me personally, being an empath, I definitely, especially in my relationships, have given way too much. And it's bitten me in the ass multiple times, because there is to be completely transparent, there's been a lack of solidity in my own framing and my own reality, and the ability to create and be present within my own reality. It's easier, I think, sometimes for empaths to just attach to other people's realities, because it's easier to just kind of go off and, I'll be a part of your world for a while so I don't have to focus on mine. And, and that gets dangerous for empaths as well, because as an empath, you should be able to stand in your own framework and in your own, space. So my dating history has definitely been interesting in terms of narcissists and being super involved with a lot of them. I really want to talk about the reasoning why I feel I have always attracted people with a narcissistic personality. And this is, going back into childhood, going into the wounding, going into the depths of what I've come from. That has kind of given me the perspective now, in my life and in my walk of, oh, this is the reason. Which is cool, because once you find the reason, then you can change and develop the story of your life, the story you tell yourself, the story that you tell other people about who you are and what you are. you can change it once you kind of understand the roots of why you do things. And I think that that work is so important. I would honestly say that that work is probably more important than anything you'll ever do in your career, more important than anything you'll ever accomplish, more than anything, more than the money that you'll ever get. Like there's such an in-depth growth that happens when you go back into your childhood and look at all the roots as to why you are the way you are and what programming you've been given and how to kind of shift that so you can actually be an open, full, connected, loving, honest, and like pure human being again. And I don't think we'll ever get back to like full purity because, you know, once you lose your innocence, that's kind of it. Once you take that bite of the fruit, that's it. But we also get, you know, there's a lot out of it. So I had to go back and kind of check out why am I attracting people in these situations that are not good for me. And I, you know, I've had a few narcissists in the family. Specifically, my father was not there and was incredibly self-absorbed and was not the best at showing up for anybody but himself. Not good at, and it wasn't just me, it was my brothers as well. It was the family, siblings, just had no capacity to show up for other people. And upon doing my own work and getting older and kind of going back to reconcile that relationship, we always had a really weird one. And I'm grateful for it now because I don't think that being around him more frequently than I was as a kid would have actually been beneficial for me because of the state and the space that he lived in. You know, he was an addict. He did a lot of hurtful things to a lot of different women, and he was also hurt by a lot of different women and just didn't really get the help or the perspective on, hey, this is why you're hurting so bad. And I think that he's been hurting for so long that he didn't know how to kind of break through that pain and truly heal it. And I think that, you know, there's been things along the way that God has definitely done in both of our lives to kind of help reshift that and restructure it so it's in a good space. But for me personally, I had to go back and really understand that my relationship with my dad is the reason I would attract all of these guys who hurt me. And they hurt me deeply. And they did it out of narcissistic tendencies. They did it just like my dad did when I was younger. There was you're important but you're not. You're I've dated a lot of selfish men. I've dated a lot of people who are not fully present with me and are and they just give a little. They don't give. They give enough to keep you kind of around, and then when you go away or they discard you, then they come back looking for you like crazy. And I'm super good on all of that. I just came from a relationship that was like that, and I think that I am so good on ever needing to experience that again. And that is the wonderful gifting about pain, is you get to go back in to yourself and be like, okay, this pain that I am feeling is definitely here to teach me something about whatever I'm not clicking on. And a lot of times for empaths, it is self-worth and holding a frame outside of anybody else. And that's difficult a lot for empaths because we feel and are in tune with not only ourselves and like our peers and the people that we're around, but also the collective consciousness. And when you're in touch with the collective consciousness, you feel everything. Some days are hard to get up, and like I feel that a lot of highly sensitive people do struggle with anxiety and depression because it's not easy to always be in a realm or a world that is just so full of ego. And especially me being in Los Angeles, like, my God. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, yo, why did this happen here? Like, why am I in the most egotistical place as an empath, in the most egotistical industry as an empath? And but I'll get into more of the reasonings for some of that later, maybe in another episode. But yeah, I just, my biggest thing with empaths, and my biggest thing that I wanted to, I guess, kind of get across here is empaths have a gift. It's totally a gift to be able to be in touch and to be that spiritually in tune, to be that open, to be that loving, and to be that sensitive to the world and to things. And I don't ever want an empath, or if someone believes that they are empathetic and in that capacity, to ever turn that shit off, because it is amazing to me to see how many people go throughout their lives and feel nothing. They feel absolutely nothing. They are not present. They're not in touch. They're just drones, damn near. And I feel like the gifting of being empathetic gives you a space where you are fully connected, whether or not it hurts. A lot of times it does hurt. It does hurt to be fully connected, because there's love and there's pain in all of it. And I think that, but they have to coexist, which is beautiful and very poetic, but also like, what the fuck, So I take my hat off to every empath. Anybody who's really trying to figure it out for themselves, especially when they're younger, and newly coming into the idea of what an empath is. Like, hi, congratulations, you're highly sensitive and you're fully in tune. And I will get into later how to handle some of the depression stuff that comes up because you're so highly sensitive and so in tune. And as this podcast keeps growing, I'm gonna keep kind of talking more about differences within the self and how to, I guess, navigate trauma, how to navigate healing, how to navigate tools as an empath, how to navigate just some things in life that I've had to kind of sort out for myself. And anything I talk on in this podcast is going to be 100% based on my experience and not based on what other people have told me or anything kind of like that. I really do believe that the best way to actually have perspective and understanding is to go through it. And as an empath myself, I've definitely struggled through the good side and the bad and the darker side of what it means to be an empath. So this is As You Are. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. And we will break down a little bit more in future episodes. Some more of the topics that I've talked and touched about today. I am Akazi.